So hello everyone, good evening, morning, afternoon from wherever in the world you are joining from. It's Mohammed Ishan with you, joining from Dubai, Hub of Finance Transformation. First of all, we warmly welcome you to this exciting webinar on Next Generation Finance Business Partner that is jointly organized by HOFT, Hub of Finance Transformation, and our strategic and training partner, FBP Academy. We have recently formed a partnership with them a few weeks ago. So we are highly glad and thrilled to work with them and to embark on this FBP transformation journey with them. So that's all today's webinar is, what we are going to discuss. We have three speakers, as you can see on your screen. Andy Shambrook, who will be joining us from United Kingdom, uh, myself, and Mohammed Al Ruby, who is joining us from Dubai, UAE. So just before moving on, a couple of housekeeping items and the logistics of this webinar. So it's going to be a 1 hour webinar, and we will be having a Q&A at the end of the session. So if you have any questions during the session, just please feel free to drop your question in the chat box, and we will try to address as maximum questions as possible during our Q&A session. And if you face any technical difficulty or anything, just please drop the message and our admin will take care of it. And if you need a certificate of attendance for this webinar for your CPD, CB credit for ICW or ACCA or CMA, just please send us email. We will be glad to issue the certificate for this webinar as well. So that's all about the housekeeping items, and we are going to speak on the next generation finance business partner. Before that, just before moving on, diving into this area, I would just like to quickly give you the background of our organization, that is Hub of Finance Transformation. As you can see on your screen, we are headquartered in Dubai, UAE, but we have strategic and training partnerships, and we have technology and training partners all around the globe. As you can see on your screen, we have Aurora Prediction, Finance Analytics Institute, Analytics Academy. So actually, we are in the business of transformation. We are supporting the global community of finance professionals in transforming their careers, in transforming their finance functions, and transforming their business. Actually, we are in the business of transformation. So that's why we have partnered with and collaborated with all of these globally renowned organizations and firms, as you can see at the bottom of this page, who are also involved in the area of transformation in different domains. For example, Aurora Lights, they are expert in AI-based analytics. Finance Analytics Institute, they have expertise in analytics, on leveraging analytics in finance, the fusion of finance and analytics. Then Kaizen Analytics, they have expertise in visualization tool like Power BI or Tableau. Then we have RPA, there is Business Improvement Group in Dubai. They are having expertise in RPA, cybersecurity. Then Finance Business Partner, as today we are going to conduct webinar with Andy from Finance Business Partner UK. They have expertise in FBP. They have trained almost 7,000 finance business partners all around the globe. So they have high level of expertise in this area. Then we have also collaborated with Authentic Solutions from UK. They have expertise in the leadership, on the soft skill side, on personal leadership, public leadership. So we have a very strong collaboration with all of these businesses and firms and institutes who are already involved in the process of transformation. And also we are the proof training provider of AFP, as you can see, for Association of Finance Professionals, that is based in USA. We provide training for their FPEC program for certified AFP, that is a global AFP financial planning and analysis certification that is issued from USA. So we are their approved training provider for the Middle East, Africa, and Asia region. So that's just a background of HOFT, and these are some portfolio of our services. I would not like to spend much time here. You can just visit our website and you can have a look at it. We are involved in training, consultancy, outsourced services, virtual and on-site events. So as you can see, and this is our team. As you can see, just sorry, I will ensure that everyone is on the mute. So just please keep your mics on the mute mode. So in order to avoid any disruptions, because we keep it interactive and we are not keeping you on mute. So please just keep your mics on the mute. So in order to avoid any distractions. Okay, so this is our team. As you can see on this screen, we have collaborated with experts in different areas of domain, including As you can see, Jasper Sorensen, I think he's online also with us today, joining us in this webinar. He's our expert in analytics business partner. He's based in USA. He is also the founder of Finance Analytics Institute. And Andy Shembrook, who has joined us already today, has expertise in finance business partnering. Then we have experts in different areas of technology, RPA, AI, also CFOs, leadership skills, and on the leadership. So this is our team of coach, consultant, mentors who work with us on our clients and for our students on training and consultancy projects. So that's all about our team. And this is some of the programs that we have launched recently. One of the program, as you can see on the right hand side, Finance Transformation Analytics Certificate, it's already running. We are on the last module. We have 21 students from almost 13 countries in this program. When I call students, they are not actually the college or university students. Of course, they are all senior finance professionals, mid to senior level finance professionals who are participating in this program. So these are our some upcoming programs. Enrollments are open for all of these programs. You can just visit the website and have a look at it. So today, as you know, we are going to talk about finance business partnering, and I think these days almost all of even the junior level to mid level and senior level, everyone know who is finance business partner. There are lots of talk going on the LinkedIn and different platforms about finance business partnering. But what we are going to talk about is about the transformation, how you can transform, how you can uh, shift the mindset from the accounting from the backward looking to a more strategic enabling role to play the role of finance business partner. And finance business partner, it's not necessarily a job title, because many people think that it's a job title, although some companies are there who are already offering some jobs with the title of finance business partners, but it's not necessarily. Even if you are an accountant, if you are auditor, if you are AR accountant, you are finance manager, controller, you can play the role of finance business partner or next generation finance business partner by leveraging analytics, by changing your mindset to become more business minded and to have a more strategic approach towards the business, to basically enable your business partners to make better decisions to improve the overall performance of the organization by collaborating, by building relationships with them, by turning data into insights and foresights for the business. So these are all the areas that we are going to touch in today's webinar as well. So without any further ado now, I would like to hand over the session to our very first speaker, Andy Shambrook, who has joined us. Andy, can you hear us?
I can do, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect. Just give me a second. I will release the control and make you the co-host so you can share your screen. Okay.
Excellent. Welcome, guys. So I started off life as an accountant and as a finance business partner, and I thought I'd kind of nailed finance business partnering when I became a finance director. And then after 12 years in a finance career, I became a sales director. So I used to work for a company called Dulux Paints. I moved from being their finance director to be their sales director. And let me tell you, it changed everything for me. Overnight, I saw, it was like I'd gone to a different version of reality. I was looking at finance through a totally different lens. I learned a load of stuff about how to sell, how to negotiate, how to build relationships, how to write press releases, and how to have really difficult conversations with customers. And I thought to myself, wow, I wish I'd known all this stuff when I worked in finance. It was like I'd learned all of the missing ingredients that I didn't know when I worked in finance. So first of all, I thought, wow, I wish I'd known this stuff. Secondly, though, the biggest thing was I now had finance partnering me at my old team. And I thought, wow. So I think I got muted there. I'm not sure where I cut out, but basically what I was saying was I moved from finance into sales, saw things totally differently, learned a whole load of stuff about sales, which was really useful. And I wish I'd known that when I worked in finance. But more importantly, finance were partnering me, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I felt they were too challenging. I felt that they were coming at me with theoretical ideas that worked on a PowerPoint, on an Excel spreadsheet, but wouldn't work in the real commercial world. But the biggest thing that hit me, and the thing that I want to share with you guys today, is that even though I was the old finance director and had worked in the business for 10 years, knew the numbers back to front, I couldn't understand the presentations that finance were making to me, my old team. I used to sit in the finance updates, bombarded with all of these numbers. And despite being a finance person myself, I was like, whoa, I can't make head nor tail of what's actually being said here. And I remember the very first finance presentation that I sat in on as a sales director. I'd only been out of finance for 2 weeks. And I sat there, and the new finance director was presenting my slides to me in my format, slides that I'd actually designed and presented over and over in the past. And I couldn't understand what was going on. Now, of course, had I had the slides beforehand, if I'd have had 10 or 15 minutes to go through the slides and get my head in gear, of course, I would have understood what was going on. But I suddenly realized that when finance are presenting to a non-finance audience, they haven't seen the numbers before. They haven't had a chance to go through them and get them straight in their head. Even if you gave them time to, they probably wouldn't be able to, because it's a bit too complicated. And it was as if my entire finance career had flashed in front of my eyes. And I thought, wow, I've just got this so wrong. Anyway, 8 years ago, I spent 5 years in sales. 8 years ago, I left and I started up this business. And I thought to myself, well, I want to train finance people. Wouldn't it be cool if I could show finance people the stuff I learned in sales that I really wish I'd known when I worked in finance? So I designed a commercial program. Really what we run is not a finance training course, it's for finance people, but there's hardly any finance stuff in. It's just full of all of the commercial tools and techniques that I learnt in sales and marketing that I wish I'd known when I worked in finance. So I show you the exact same tools and techniques that sales and marketing people use. And then more importantly though, I show you how you can use those exact same techniques and apply them into your finance work. And today I'm going to show you one of those techniques. And in particular, the whole course is built around the things that I saw as a sales director looking back into finance. And the single biggest thing, the biggest learning for me, was the way that we present the numbers in finance. If you want to make a total transformation in your ability to bring numbers to in your finance business partner, and if you really want to transform overnight, the simplest, quickest area to go to is the numbers that you present. And a typical, just give me a thumbs up, someone, if you can see the screen. Okay.
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah, good. So a typical finance report or presentation starts with the dull and boring title, period 6 financials. And then we're kind of obsessed with actual versus budget versus last year in finance. So we follow it up with a nice table of numbers, 75 numbers on this table of numbers. I learned this simple rule in the commercial world. Marketeers know the worst way to bring numbers to life is to use a table of numbers. They just know this. The best way to bring numbers to life is to take one number, make it big and make it stand out. So I thought to myself, what if a marketeer was to approach presenting the P&L account? What would they do? Well, they'd probably take one number, make it big. There's 75 numbers here. We've just broken marketing's rule on how to bring numbers to life 75 times. And we're not done, because if we've got the period, we need year to date, 150 numbers. We've broken marketing's rule 150 times. If we've got the year to date, we need the full year, 225 numbers. So we've now broken marketing's rule 225 times. And we'll have 10 or 20 slides like this, thousands and thousands of numbers. And it's just too much. We make it worse because then we think we need some commentary. So we make the table really small so nobody can see it anyway. Then we add in some really boring bullet point commentary that doesn't really tell us much. It's just describing the numbers. And it's littered with things like phasing, one-off and accruals, the kind of jargon that creates a barrier between finance and the rest of the organization. Think about it. Do you trust people that you don't understand? No. The fundamental kind of foundation for trust is that you understand the other person. The minute you throw accountancy jargon into conversations, that kind of it creates this barrier and it reduces the level of trust. So as well as that, we're describing the accounting behind the numbers. I noticed this when I moved into sales. I wanted to understand the commercial drivers behind the numbers, but my finance team were only giving me the accounting jargon behind it. And I thought, I don't care about the accounting behind it. I want to know what drove the numbers commercially. You know, why are sales up? Why are margins down? What's happening out there in the market that's impacting on the numbers? And then what does the Google homepage have a lot of? Well, the Google homepage has a lot of white space. Why? Because it makes the Google bit stand out. White space is your best friend, but in finance, we see some white space. We think, well, we couldn't possibly leave the white space there to draw attention to the most important parts of the presentation. We better fill it. So we fill it with some more graphs and charts. And then we stand back and we think the key messages aren't really standing out. I know what we'll do. We'll put some circles on or with some highlights and numbers. Ta-da, brilliant. And this is the exact type of presentation that I used to deliver. And for the last 8 years, I've traveled around the world. I think I've trained about 10,000 people, and pretty much 99.9% of the finance presentations being produced globally in big companies, small companies, whatever industry, look exactly like this. Sometimes we throw in some waterfalls or some dashboards, but fundamentally what we're doing is we're giving people way too much information. Sometimes I call it like data puke. We're going, here's everything, you work it out. We're being like a floodlight. We're putting a floodlight on everything. If you want to transform yourself into a finance business partner, the first thing you want to do is turn the floodlight off and turn your spotlights on. Your job as an FBP is to put a spotlight on the most important pieces of financial information. An accountant, sure, they turn the floodlights on, but an FBP uses the spotlight. We look at a presentation like this in finance, we think, brilliant, it's great. This is what our audience are thinking. They're thinking, what's going on? I've got no clue. And I know this from direct experience because this is how I felt when finance were presented to me. And I used to be the FD, so I'm good with numbers, right? I'm used to this kind of stuff. And that's exactly how I felt. So today I want to introduce you to my #1 finance business partner tool. Super, super simple. It'll take about 30 seconds to learn it. And you can use this to transform your communication. If you just apply this technique to everything you do in terms of reporting and communication, I promise you, overnight, you will become a better FBP. And it's known as the rule of 3, or the communicator's secret, or the presenter's secret. And this is how the rule of 3 works. When Steve Jobs introduced the iPad 2, he said it was thinner, lighter, faster. This is the rule of 3. Thinner, lighter, faster. The new iPad 2 had about 1,000 different features and benefits. Steve Jobs picked the 3 most important ones. He then repeated thinner, lighter, faster a number of times. He spoke in his big iPad 2 launch. He spoke for 15 minutes. He mentioned thinner, lighter, faster 15 times. A press release went to every major news agency around the world, and it mentioned thinner, lighter, faster 17 times. Harvard University did a major study of the third-party generated press following the iPad 2 launch, and they found that 99.9% of the third-party generated press around the world included the phrase thinner, lighter, faster. More telling, 85% of the third-party generated press had it as the headline of the article. The headline was, the iPad 2 is thinner, lighter, faster. The reason why you learn this technique if you go to do an MBA at Harvard is because they use the iPad 2 as a definitive case study on how to control a global narrative. A global narrative. How did Steve Jobs do it? He simply used the rule of 3 and repetition. This is how the rule of 3 works. You, #1, you write a list of everything you want to say. If you think about it, our typical finance presentations are exactly that. We produce slide after slide after slide of everything we want to say. Step 2, though, of the rule of 3 is you just pick the 3 most important things and you frame your discussion, your presentation, your speech around those three most important things. Step 3, you just save the rest for the other day. This is moving from the floodlight where you're giving everybody everything to the spotlight where you're saying, you know what, guys, I've been through it all. Everything's fine. These are the 3 most important things you really need to focus on. Okay, so how do we go from this? Let's say we apply the rule of 3 to a slide like this. If we were a marketeer and we wanted to present the P&L account, how might we do it? Okay, so we might start off with an attention-grabbing headline like "Keep calm and carry on. It's been a tough year, but we're doing well." And then I'm going to talk to you today about 3 things. Number 1, I'm going to talk to you about the sales performance of the business. But I'm not going to start with sales. I'm going to start with the underlying driver of sales. And the great news is our bookings were up 8,000 units year on year. 8,000 units. We've sold 8,000 extra seats on our training. This is an imaginary training company. So this is part 1 of the rule of 3. I've picked the most important number that I want people to pay attention to from my P&L account, the volume driver. But I want to talk about sales, but I'm not going to talk about the sales number in the P&L account. I'm going to talk about the commercial driver behind it, which is volume. So volume's up 8,000 year on year. Why is that? I'm going to tell you why now, but not an accounting why. I'm going to give you a commercial driver. The shift to online opened up my markets to a global audience. New marketing campaign was a hit because it made people smile. Okay, so now I've told you what the core driver is, bookings being up 8,000. I've told you why from a commercial point of view. I might then go on to tell you, well, the financial impact of that is sales were up £4.2 million, which is 15% year on year. Okay, now let's look at margin, but instead of looking at margin, a pound number or a percentage number, instead I'm going to look at the driver behind the margin. And what's the driver behind the margin? Well, the average price per head. And what we've seen is the average price per head fell by £60 per head year on year. Okay, great. Why is that? Well, we reduced our prices for online to be more competitive. Plus, we run some promotions to encourage people to sign up. But looking at it, we're not actually sure whether we actually needed to reduce our prices given the amount of volume growth that we got. Here's a great tip, by the way. Lots of non-finance people find it hard to get their head around percentage margins. But every single person on the planet intuitively understands if the average sales price or the average variable cost unit price goes up or down. So a much better way of discussing margins is to talk about the average price, either the average sales price or the average unit cost. People then intuitively know whether that is good or bad. You can then explain the margin impact in the P&L account off the back of that. Okay, so bookings up 8,000, price per head down 60. What does that mean for profit when we add it up? Well, the good news is profit was up £1 million. Why? Well, we had increased volume, which more than offset the cost of marketing campaign and the reduced price per head. Plus, we're very careful with costs and we managed to eat inflation. So all good news. So what we've now done is we've taken loads and loads of numbers, lots and lots of data, and turned it into a short story. Because what does every story need? It needs a beginning, a middle, and an end. And with the rule of 3, you get the beginning, the middle, and the end. Look, guys, this is just a very quick taster of one of the 2-hour workshops that if you join our main program, you'll get. We'll go through in a lot more detail the problem with finance presentations today, and a lot more detail about actually how can you bring your numbers to life. And this is a simplified template. We use a couple of other templates that really takes it on to the next level and starts getting you to think about questions like so what next, and how to think about moving from month end to trends, and how to really turn your numbers into a story, which is the holy grail of being an FBP. An accountant talks about numbers, and FBP turns those numbers into a story. So this is just a kind of taster of what you can expect. Before I hand back to Zishan and Mohammed, I just want to run through FBP is about 3 things for me. The rule of 3 in action, it's about 3 things. Number 1, it's about building relationships. If I only had one word to describe FBP, it would be relationships. There is a direct correlation between the level of your influence and the quality of your relationships. In the program, we show you the 5-step sales process that every salesperson on the planet is trained in and uses to sell. All of the salespeople in your organizations will be using it. Step 1 of the 5-step sales process is relationships. Professional salespeople, professional influencers know that until they've built a relationship, there's no point doing anything else. Step 2 is to turn data into insights. And I think Zishan or Mohammed are going to talk to you about what's the difference between data, information and insight, and how you can start to change those. In a nutshell, data tells us what happens, information tells us why, insight tells us so what. You can guess that an accountant tells me what happened last month. I couldn't care less in many respects when I'm a salesperson or a marketer or an operations person. I want to speak to the finance business partner who's telling me, so what? What does it mean for the future? And that's the transformation that you guys can make. And the third one is, how do we bring numbers to life, which is what we just kind of looked at in a nutshell. The point of doing all these 3 things, if you build relationships, if you turn the data into insight, and if you bring numbers to life, you will influence more decisions. If you join our main course, I think there's 7 hours of video content, 8 2-hour workshops. All of them are designed to give you the tools and techniques, the tangible tools and techniques you need to build relationships, turn data into insight, and bring numbers to life. We also give you a lot of pure sales and influence training, showing you the techniques that professional salespeople, influencers, politicians use to influence people and sell their ideas. So thanks for your time, guys. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll hand back over now to, I think, Mohammed.
Thank you, Andy. Hello, everyone. Let me share my screen. Can you make me presenter, Zishan?
Yeah, just give me 1 minute. Thank you very much, Andy, for your sharing on the insights. And now we will move on to our second speaker, Muhammad Al-Rubi. Just let him give him the controls so he can start his presentation. Okay, Mom, here you go. You can share your screen.
Can you see my screen right now?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Finance Business Partnering program. And today I'm going to speak about turning data into insights. As mentioned by Andy, that there are 3 key components to be a true finance business partnering, which are building relationships, turning data into insights, and bringing numbers to life. So before going to turning data into insights, I'm going to give you a quick brief about myself. I'm a finance business partner and FP&D leader with more than 18 years of experience in global multinational companies like Johnson & Johnson, Novartis, Allergan, Takeda. I handled multiple international senior roles across Middle East, Africa, Turkey, Southwest Asia, and India. I'm an international finance speaker, certified CIMA from UK, FPAC from US, and I hold MBA as well. So turning data into insights. Before learning how to turn data into insights, we need to understand the difference between data, information, and insights. I'm going to share with you 3 interesting stories, and I would like to encourage every one of you to put on the chat box, how do you see the story? Is it about delivering data, or delivering information, or delivering insights? So let's start with the first story. The first story is about Mr. Calculator, and by the way, his nickname is Mr. Reporter. Mr. Calculator every month ensures that all numbers are accurate 100%, ensures all reconciliations has done properly, everything is correct and accurate, and he spend the quality time to ensure all numbers or financials are accurate 100%. And when Mr. Calculator started his presentation, he started with telling people, we achieved 70 million US dollar sales with 10% below prior year. Our OPEX is 5% above plan. And the audience started to ask questions. Why we have decline in sales? Why we have overspending OPEX? Why and why and why? Which product is driving the performance? What are the key drivers? So the audience started to ask why and why and why, because all the presentation was about facts, about historical data. It's about only what happened. So please put in the chat box, this story is about someone telling data or information or insights. Okay, I'm gonna comment in the end of my presentation. So let's move to the second story, which is about Mr. Dashboarder, or his nickname is Mr. Reporter. Mr. Dashboard spend quality time in preparing dashboards. He's very talented in preparing visualizations, data visualizations, charts, very deep analysis, very good analysis. So he understands the business very well, and he prepared very good analysis, very good comparisons. And he started his presentation by saying, we achieved 20% sales growth versus prior year due to a successful marketing campaign. Also, our DSO improved by 10 days due to the implementation of a new effective collection process. So the audience started to ask questions. Is that sustainable? Do you see that our performance would be sustainable? That's a good news. What about the year to go? What about the future? What about the remaining of the year? How can we improve our business? What could be done differently? So the audience started to ask questions about the future, about the looking forward. How can we mitigate risk? How can we improve our business? How can we ensure the sustainability of our performance? So Mr. Dashboard provided what happened and why that happened, but he didn't mention anything about, so what would be the future? How do you see the performance of our company in the upcoming months or the upcoming year? So please drop in the chat box, what did Mr. Dashboard provide? Did he provide data or information or insight? Okay, let's move to the third story, which is about Mr. Influencer, and his nickname is Mr. Strategist. Mr. Influencer spend the quality time with his business partners, asking them the right questions, getting from them what should be done differently, how can we mitigate risk, getting from them action plans, getting from them deep dive about the future. And he started his presentation saying, we have a 20% sales decline versus prior year due to the entrance of new competitor. And after deep discussion with my colleagues in the commercial department, we propose the following. Number one, let's implement a trade discount scheme to our top 10 key accounts. Number two actions, let's run an intensive marketing campaign in the coming winter season. Number three, let's sign additional 3 new contracts with a big key accounts to increase our footprint in the northern area. We expect to regain our lost market share within 6 months. So the audience started to say, yes, let's do it. We support the proposed actions. The action plan is very clear. Let's reallocate our resources behind it. So what did Mr. Influencer provide? Please put in the chat box, did he provide data or information or insight? Thank you for all of your comments. As all of you agreed that the first one, Mr. Calculator or Mr. Reporter, provided only data, which is telling us what happened. So as a finance professionals, when we send it to our stakeholders, just financial statements, just sales reports, just balance sheet, it's all about just we are providing data, which is answering the question of what happened. When we advanced our reporting and started to provide commercial drivers and commercial reasons behind our performance, which is answering the question of why that happened, that's all still information. But when we ask our business partners the right questions and asking them, so what? How can we improve our business? How can we mitigate risk? How can we ensure sustainable, profitable growth? So when we have the looking forward mindset and asking our business partners the right questions and getting from them an actionable insights, that's the true insights that we have to deliver as a finance business partners. What are the key skills and what are the key soft skills that every finance business partner should have to provide insights? As mentioned by Andy, it's all about number one, building relationships. We cannot influence our stakeholders. We cannot driving an actionable insights without building relationships with them. So as you can see in the bottom of the pyramid, we can get easily the data from system. By just one click, we can download all the reports we need, all the reports about sales, about performance, easily from system. When we're starting to provide information, it's a mix between, we can get some data from system, we can get some comparisons from system, we can get some deep dive analysis from system, but we still need the human interactions. We still need to use our relationships to ask people the right questions, to get the proper commercial drivers, to get the answer of why that happened. But when we move to the insights, it's all about our relationships. We cannot influence people when we sit behind computer screen. We cannot influence people through sending emails. So providing insights, it's need all about relationships. So we need three main soft skills to provide insights to our business partners. Number one, we need to build the relationships. We cannot influence people without having the proper and strong relationships with them. Number two, we need to have the coaching skills. We need to learn how to ask the right questions. Our role inside our organization is not to be like a policeman just controlling the performance. Our role is to coach the organization, asking people the right questions and getting the insights from them. Our role is not to recommend the action to people. Our role is to coach them and to get the proper insights through asking the right questions. And number three, business acumen. How can we ask the right questions without understanding deeply our business? To ask the right questions, again, we need to understand our business very well. And business acumen is our admission ticket to the decision-making table. So I believe those are the most three important soft skills we need to deliver insights. And my colleague Zishan is gonna take you through the other part to provide insights, which is about data analytics. Thank you, everyone, and feel free to drop your questions, and we're gonna have the Q&A in the end of our session. Thank you, everyone, and the floor is yours, Zishan.
Okay, thank you very much, Mohammed. So just let me share my screen. Okay, so everyone can see my screen. Can anyone confirm?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So thank you very much, Andy and Mohammed Al-Rubi, for your sessions. And now this is the last part of this webinar before we jump into the Q&A session. So as Andy and Mohammed Al-Rubi, they talked about the finance business partnering. Now you might be wondering why this webinar, or what the theme of this webinar named as the next generation finance business partner. So as Andy and Mohammed already mentioned, the capabilities and the skills required to transform your role into the role of finance business partner or analytics business partner. So the thing is, in order to turn data into insights or to generate insights and foresights for the business, I think the best way to generate those insights and foresight is to leverage analytics in finance business partnering. That's what we call as the third generation of finance or third generation of finance business partnering. That's called as the analytics business partner. So this work, actually incredible work done by our strategic partner, Finance Analytics Institute, that is owned by, founded by Jasper and his co-founder Robert from USA. I will be giving some of the frameworks from their institute in my upcoming slides on the data analytics. They did an incredible job, I think, and lots of research in this area on elevating the finance business partnering to the next level by leveraging analytics and finance, so that it only enhance the capabilities of finance business partnering. As Andy and Mohammed already mentioned, the soft skills, the partnering skills, the strategic leadership, financial acumen, or turning data into insights, or turning boring table into a more engaging or appealing table, as Andy presented to you. So just I would like to share before my background. As you can see, just I am the finance transformation expert, and I have almost than 17 years of experience in the area of finance, finance transformation operations. And I worked in various organizations within the Middle East region as well as in the Asia region. I hold some senior level position, including head of FP&A, CFO, and finance business partner. I'm a CCA fellow member, UAE charter accountant, and also a master's in commerce degree. So this is just my quick background. So this is, as Mohammed and Andy already talked about. So this framework developed by Analytics Academy, that's a part of Finance Analytics Institute. I think already Mohammed talked about it, but that's all what we elevate the data from data to insights, where we convert the data into information, as Mohammed, I think, already gave the example. I will not spend more time here because more many people, they confuse between the analysis and analytics. Analysis is about turning data into information or the knowledge, but when you talk about analytics, it's all about generating insights and foresights. That's the level of intelligence that's the business can take decision based on that. So that's all where we can leverage analytics in finance. And the enablers of implementing analytics in finance, or enablers of finance transformation, are the four main enablers, as you can see on your screen, that include the mindset, the people, processes, and technology. So just we will quickly discuss this framework or the roadmap given by our strategic partner, Finance Analytics Institute, who will also be giving some of the lectures during this program, and on the area of analytics, and basically elevating or enhancing the capabilities of finance business partner by leverage. So as Mohammed mentioned about what happened, where did it happen, why it happened. So it's actually all about the evolution of analytics from 1980s to 2020s, as you can see on your screen, moving from descriptive analytics to diagnostic to predictive and prescriptive analytics. Because being an accountant or traditional finance professional, we are usually focusing just on what happened, where did it happen, as I think Mohammed has already given you a very best practical examples. And he also showed you about the sales, why the sales was declined. And that was actually about generating the insights from the business, from the data, not only just analyzing the data, but leveraging analytics. But also it is very important to understand what are the tools and the diverse skill set that is required, because there is one skill set that is called the partnering skill set, or your strategic leadership, that you can use, of course. For example, as Andy and Mohammed mentioned, your relationship building skills, uh, your financial acumen, and you're bringing numbers to that you're bringing numbers to life. So these are all the skills which are required. Of course, these are the soft skills, your communication, your collaboration. But in order to leverage analytics, you should also have a very advanced toolbox in your finance function, that only where you can help to turn data into insights and to generate insights and foresights from the business, so that once we have the data, so we are not only defining what happened, why the sales was declined, but also we will should be able to correlate. We will able to correlate some different factors or variable. For example, if the sales declined for the last year, so what was the reason? What is the correlation of that sales with some other factors which are causing the decline in those sales? For example, if the sales decline, maybe it is highly correlated with the performance of the salesman, maybe the tenure of the salesman. So it could be several other reasons. So that's what the hidden insights or the pattern in the data, that what analytics help us to uncover. And that also something which business also don't know. So that's how it can help, and we can leverage it to turn data into insights, and by using predictive and prescriptive analytics. And as you can see, the toolbox that we need and the techniques that we need, that includes statistics, correlation, regression. Of course, these are not our area, but of course we can now leverage technologies. As you can see, this is also the framework given by Finance Analytics Institute, including all the four enablers of finance transformation, including mindset, people, processes, system. And also Jasper and Finance Analytics Institute, they have recently issued a very insightful research report on the relationship or the correlation between all of these factors. So you should read that also to understand, for example, if the mindset of the finance leader or the leadership team, of course, it's not aligned with the finance staff, of course, you cannot, even if you have the right processes, if you have the world's best technology, if you have all the right processes, of course, you cannot implement or transform your finance into analytics powerhouse, or transform your finance function to the level of finance business partnering or analytics business partner. So that's all on the right hand side. As you can see, there are different tools, of course, with Power BI or different Excel sheet what we are using for our reporting. Of course, that we cannot just reach to the level of advisor, strategist, or finance business partner and leverage analytics using these technology. We have to upgrade our toolbox as well. We have to utilize data visualization tools, data statistical tools, AI-based analytics tools. So that's all what we are going to talk about in our upcoming program. And what's all other skill set that is required to become a finance business partner, like partnering skill set, your strategic leadership, and building relationships. So that's what we are going to cover in our upcoming program, that is next generation finance business partner. So that is going to start in the month of August, by end of August, and the registrations are already open for this program. So this is the program structure that we are going to cover. As you can see on your screen, it's based on the 8 module, starting from the FBP mindset. As we told, the mindset is one of the major enabler of finance transformation or transforming into the FBP role. Then bringing numbers to life, turning data into insights, relationship, these are all soft skills. Then how you can make an influence, then how you can turn your stories with data, your data storytelling skill, and the value creation strategy. That's more of a strategic leadership part. Then and analytics business partnering, as I talked with you, to enhance further the capabilities of finance business partner to the level of analytics business partner by leveraging analytics in finance, by using advanced toolbox like AI-based analytics, visualization tools, statistical techniques. So this is what is called as the toolbox for the analytics, or analytics toolbox. So that's what we are all going to cover in all of these sessions. And there are different assessments and capability surveys that Andy will use. Of course, as he mentioned, he has trained 10,000 finance business partners all around the globe. And he worked in outside the finance, also in the sales. So of course, he will bring the perspective from outside the sales, because of course, finance business partner, as you know, is the one who has to collaborate and work with the business, with all the business functions. So here, Andy will help you to bring the perspective outside of finance, like what other business function expects from the finance, and that of course help you to collaborate and build good relationships. Because our main purpose is to just empower our business partners to take better decisions. That's all about finance business partnering, right? At the end, we have to empower all our business partners or the business functions to turn data into insights and to empower them to take better business decisions. So that's all it's going to cover. These are the program features, and include 8 modules, as I mentioned, taught via live classes. There will be guest speakers also on FBB experts sharing their practical experience. Then we will be having a case study and other practice material also for this program. There will be peer group sessions where we will discuss finance business partnering in different industries, because of course it's all about the business. So it's in different business dynamics we will talk, and we will do some case studies and some uh, practical case studies and some assignments in the peer group, as well as there will be capability survey evaluation to assess and measure your performance that will be given by Andy in the beginning of the program and also at the end. So these will be the trainers. Mainly it will be Andy Shambrook and his partner, and me and Mohammed Al Ruby will also be facilitating the sessions during this program. So these will be the trainer for this program, and you will get the certificate after completion from FBB Academy based in the UK. You will get your certificate in business partnering. And these are some of the details about the commencement of the program date. We will be having a 1 class every week, once a week, It will be from 7 to 9 p.m. on every Saturday. And these are the fees available, some early bird discounts. And if you need further information, just you can email us, or you can email at PB Academy, and we will try to entertain your request. So that's all from our side. And if you have any question, just please feel free to drop it in the chat box, and we will try to address. Now we have still 10 minutes. Or Andy, if you would like to add anything regarding the program for the students, so please go ahead.
I think the only thing I'll mention again is that it's for finance people, but it's not a finance program. This is a commercial training program. It's everything that a salesperson and a marketeer just takes for granted. So it's very, very practical. We show you the exact tools and techniques that salespeople and marketeers use every single day. And more importantly, we show you how do you apply these to your job tomorrow. This isn't a theoretical course. This isn't a course where you have to wait months or years to practice and put into practice. Every single time you come to a 2-hour workshop, you can put it into practice in your job the very next day. So it's very, very practical.
Okay, that's great. And there is one question, Andy, if you can address. Not all the FVPs gets an opportunity to participate in the business topics and management meetings. They are still playing a role of finance controller and limited business topics. Does this mean the lack of confidence, and what could be done to improve the situation?
Often the problem is that we don't know what else to do. So typically what I find is that it's not difficult to become a finance business partner. In fact, it's very easy, but we haven't been shown how to do it, or we haven't been given the specific tools. So often we're told that this is what finance business partnering is. You need to build relationships. Okay, great. We conceptually understand we need to build relationships. We need to turn data to insight. We need to bring numbers to life. We need to sell our ideas. We need to negotiate. Great. How do you do that? And as soon as you learn the practical skills of how to do those things, then when you show up in a meeting, it's easy to then put those into practice and do something different. But if we don't know how to do that, then we just default to the traditional way of being a finance person. So where does the confidence come from? The confidence comes from having the tools. Imagine playing a game where you don't know the rules. You haven't been taught how to play the game. It's not possible to play it. So once you learn the tools and techniques, then it becomes easy.
Yeah, exactly. Once we have the skills, capabilities, of course, then only we can initiate our transformation journey towards the business partnering and to become strategic advisors to the business.
Andy, thank you so much for answering the question. This is Nandini, working as a finance business partner. What the question I meant was the lack of confidence. Is it not with the individual? I meant, is it with the management or with the business people? Because normally what is happening at this moment is business and the client partners are not quite interested, or rather investing time with the finance business partners, explaining what is happening or the real nature of the business. And that is why at times we lack of information and we don't know what to present in there. That was my question.
Yeah, and I think this is a little bit chicken and egg, because in finance we're often waiting for the business to come to us. And one of the things that I say is, once you start changing the way we operate as finance, a good example is, if you stop presenting lots of text-heavy tables of numbers and start presenting the Power Dashboard format that I showed you before, non-finance look at you through a different lens. They see you differently. When you start telling people not just the what, but the why and the so what, then they start to again see you in a different way. When you start to build a relationship with them, they start to see you in a different way. And it's really us saying, opening our doors to non-finance, so that it's much more likely that they're then engaged with us. Because if non-finance aren't engaging with us, it's because they don't see the value in it. And of course, we can sit here and say, well, there's loads of value for you to engage with us, loads of value. We're going to help you do this, we're going to help you do that. But they don't see that value. So it's for us to show them, actually start the process by showing them that, hey, we're not a typical accountant. We're not just going to give you tons and tons of data. We're going to give you something useful. And so in sales, what we say is, if you want to engage a potential customer, the first thing you've got to do is build a relationship with them. The second thing you've got to do is give them something useful. Show them how you can help. Not tell them how you can help. Show them, do something for them. And then all of a sudden, it opens the doors to communication. So I think it's for us in finance to take those first steps and to start kind of showing that we are not like all the other finance people.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I think that's a really, a great question asked by Nandini. And this is, I think, the situation in most of the companies, especially if we know about these regions, Asia region, Middle East, and especially the business owners, shareholders, they just consider finance just as a overhead function. They don't even consider them as a value creator. And that's what the image of finance has been built like this from so many decades. Of course, it's not easy. It will not be changed overnight. But of course, as Andy mentioned, only once we have the capabilities and once we have the skill, then only it's all about the mindset, right? They don't have the right mindset. They don't consider finance as their business partner because they just treat them just they are providing the number, they are doing transactional work, monthly closing, compliance. So that's what I think this program will really help in that area to develop these capabilities and skills in the areas of business partnering, in analytics, in turning data into insights, building relationships, your communication. That's all what this program is all about, I think. And of course, it will help a lot for the mid to senior level finance professionals who are facing the same type of situation and to, of course, transform their careers into this role. Okay, so if any more questions we have, please either you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, Zishan, can I come in?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Thanks, Andy and Zishan and Mohammed. Wonderful insight into the presentations and on the topic. I'm just adding a comment to what Nandini asked actually. The problem and what we essentially face in our working environment is that we may be possibly providing data, but as finance business partners or CFOs, you may call it, what happens is the whys and the whats and the insights are essentially coming from the businesses themselves. So the trust factor is already established with them. So when the owners or the chairman or the CEO, when they are more comfortable in listening to the real stories from them than from the finance people, to say the least, then look, you just provide the data. This is where the changes that have happened, but the reasoning part is coming from them, which is what they have provided to you. And sometimes the business partners, the business owners, they will come and tell you that, look, this is what I told you, just going and telling them the same thing. But there are a lot of the other factors which you probably not be aware of. So there's always a conflict between the two partners. And as you rightly pointed out, it's just a relationship. But at the end of the day, the information is sought by finance people from their very own business owners and then shared with the relevant management team or whoever they are. So that's a conflict which is there in mind. How do you sort of address this?
Yeah, so for me, it's a two-way thing. So the business managers and owners, they obviously know a lot more about what's happening commercially than us in finance. The thing is, often then our job as FBPs really is to link what's happening commercially to the numbers, but not just what's happening commercially to the numbers in the past. The real value that you can bring to these conversations is showing people the financial implications of the decisions that they might make today that are impacting on the future. And that's really where finance comes alive, because, I was fortunate being a sales director that in my own brain, I could link the commercial decisions that I was making to financial outcomes because I was an ex-finance director. So I knew what would happen to margins. I knew what would happen to risk. I knew what would happen to cash flow. I intuitively understood how a commercial decision here has all of these different financial implications around them. I knew when we were looking at marketing investment to launch a new product, I knew that there'd be initial setup costs and there'd be capital investment, and then we'd be putting more fixed costs in with more people. And, I intuitively knew all of those things. I could take into account the wider picture. Generally, some commercial people are great at that, but typically commercial people will be looking at kind of one stream. I want to grow the sales, I'm going to create these sales. They might not be thinking so much about the margin implications. They might not be thinking so much about the additional fixed costs that might come in. They might not be thinking so much about the addition, how quickly it'll mean to get the cash in and the working capital implications. And that's where you as an FVP can really add the value. So it's not one thing or the other. It's like the business has this commercial understanding of what they're doing. Your job is to link all of their commercial activities into the financial numbers so that they really understand the implications of kind of what they're doing. So it's much more kind of
thanks, Andy. But I agree with you, Andy. But that would again mean that data and information as per your definition of and not the insight that you're sharing with them. So you're just working on the numbers. You actually play around. You say that, look, the competition has increased. We should increase. So this is going to be the marketing cost. This is what the margin impact is going to be. That's going to be the cost impact on the overall strategy that you're working on. And that's again all about data and information. Where is the insight?
Well,
insight is always a challenge when it comes to the business owners. So they say that we know it better.
Well, for me,
you've told us. That's fine. Great job.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the insight is using the data and the information to answer the question, so what? If all you're doing is telling people what happened last month in terms of all those implications, then that's data. But if you're using that and saying, look, this is where we are today, this is why it's happened, okay, this is now what it means moving forward, and these are the different scenarios, and these are the different levers that you can pull. And if you take your commercial idea and you tweak it, you make these changes to it, you're going to have better future financial outcomes. So yeah, data, information, insight, we've shown them as three separate things, but they're all intertwined. The difference for me that makes something data versus insight is the time frame. So if you're looking backwards, for me, it's pretty much all data. If you're looking forwards and looking at what might happen in scenarios, then you're suddenly now working in the insight space.
Yeah, but don't we as finance people always provide projections, forecasts, budgets, etc., etc.? That's all futuristic.
Yeah, I suppose the thing is, a futuristic set of numbers does not necessarily answer the question, so what? For me, it's much more when you get into scenarios and you start helping people to see how, if they make changes to what they're going to do, what financial impact that can then have. So many finance people provide forecasts, but they're providing one set of numbers. They're saying that, based on what you've told me, this is what's going to happen. Okay, for me, that's data. But if instead you say, look, based on what you've told me, this is what's going to happen. However, if we do this, or if we change this, then we're going to get a different outcome, and it's going to be a better financial outcome. That's then the finance business partnering discussion.
Mm. And I would like to add, Jane, I think as talking about insights, so I think that's where the analytics comes into play. Like, analytics and insights mean something which even business don't know, because if you are leveraging analytics, for example, you are finding out the correlation or regression or correlation between different variables. I can give you just one quick example. If you go to the VP of sales or the head of sales or marketing, and you ask him why the sales was down last quarter or last year, he can give you lots of reasons, right? He can tell you, okay, some of the deals were not finalized in the quarter one, so it moved to quarter two or year two. That's why we have less sales in quarter one or year one. But if you check the insights, why the sales was actually down. Maybe it's correlated with some other thing, maybe because of the performance or the tenure of the salesman in that region or in that territory. And that's what you can, generate the insights when you analyze the pattern or the trend in the data. So I think that's what you can leverage, and that's where you can become a analytics powerhouse also, to as a center of excellence for the entire organization, to support them in their sales, marketing, operations. Because if you go to business and you tell them what they already know, so of course you cannot influence them, right? So I think that's what just I would like to add. Yeah, any further comments or more question we have? So I think we are already over time. Yes, Jane. Okay, so I think that's all from our side. So if you are interested in this program, just you can go to our HOFT-global.com. You can see this program, and its registration is open. Some early bird discount is also there. So if you are really interested to build all these capabilities, and apart from this, you want to build your analytics capabilities and all the amazing experience that Andy has in his experience as a sales director, as a finance director, of course, he can share lots of insights that can help you to become a more effective business partner and to make an influence and impact. In fact, at the last end of the day, of course, we have to empower our business partners, business function, to make better business decisions that can improve the performance of the organization. So that's all what this course is about. If you are interested, or if you need further information, feel free to drop us email or to Andy directly, and we shall be glad to assist you. So that's all from our side. Thank you very much, Andy. Thanks a lot for sharing all the insights and wonderful session. Thank you, Mohammed Al Ruby, also for your session and for sharing all the insights. And thank you all the audience. And that's all from our side.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Zishan. Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.
Take care. Stay safe. Bye.